A pleasant good day to you and yours. Welcome to Voices for today. The time is approximately 3 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour. And I've been away on a bit of a hiatus, but hey, it's good to be back. And let me take the time to say a pleasant good day to you and yours wherever you are. And a pleasant good day to you, my good friend Hoover in studio number 2. How are you today?
Yeah, blessed greetings. Blessed greetings to all listeners out there. We're back here again today.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what will we be discussing today?
Well, today we have someone here from the department that would like to introduce herself. She's here to talk about a program they call Viola, and she'll introduce herself and give us some
Yeah,
information.
pull the
on that.
mic a little bit closer to you.
Good morning,
Okay,
Radioland. My
you
name is
sound
Vanessa
perfect.
Archibald, Gender Field Officer within the Department of Gender Affairs. I'm here to talk about Project Viola, a program within the department that deals with teen mothers. So Project Viola was named after a teen mom who had immense potential to succeed, but she was not afforded the opportunity because she was pregnant. So between the Department of Gender Affairs and different stakeholders involved, they were able to get the federal cabinet to issue a cabinet policy that confirms the right of teen mothers to complete their secondary education sometime in the late 90s. And the goal of Project Viola is to ensure that the teen mothers complete their secondary education and also their tertiary education as well. And also to break the cycle of poverty, violence, and abuse common to teen mothers and their children. How do we get our participants within Project Viola? So this is done through referrals. So we work closely with the secondary schools. So, well, the guidance counselors within the secondary schools actually. So once a teen mom has been identified within the schools, the guidance counselors would make the referral to probation and child protection services, and then probation and child protection services would do their investigation, and then they would also do their referral to the Department of Gender Affairs, and then our case manager will do the necessary intake process and the assessments in order to bring that teen mom into Project Viola.
So, a quick question. You said the name came from a teen mom, Viola? Okay. So, what's the youngest age, since you've been around this program, what's the youngest age you have had amongst these young teens?
The youngest age we had was 12.
Wow.
So, but usually the age range starts at 13 to 19. That's how long they would be on the program for.
Oh, so okay, 12. I don't, Quint, is 12 included in teens?
No, but
Okay.
you know how life goes, and
12 is pretty
and
much on the age.
yeah, but you know how life goes in
Well,
in the world, and
Yeah.
so girls who have not reached their teen as yet, they do get involved in certain things and so forth. So
Yeah.
can't
So,
hear me?
I can't hear. I can't hear.
yeah. Well, we have people like Mrs. Christopher who probably might be listening who love these kind of conversations because, she was like the godmother for some of these kind of things.
Yes, Ms. Yusufa was a very staunch advocate for teen mothers
Yeah.
and ensuring that they get the proper support and guidance needed in order for them to complete their secondary education.
Okay.
Also, through Project Viola, we offer quite amount of support to the teen moms. Once you become a participant in Project Viola, you have to attend at least 80% of our sessions, and these sessions includes personal developmental session, empowerment sessions. We have vocational training, skills sessions, and so forth. We also do beach cleanup,
And
different
some activities
activities
outside.
outdoors and indoor activities as well. We try to do things that the teen moms also requested as well, so it's not more of what we want to do. We also try to sit with them and see what they are interested in. And we also do mentorship as well. So we have a shadow mentorship program where we would, based on career aspirations that the teen moms are interested in, we would try to partner them with professional women in those areas where they would shadow them for at least a week or two. Yeah.
Okay. So is there a cap, like a ceiling, a certain amount of person that you would have in this program?
No, there's not a set amount that we aim to achieve. We usually go based on the referrals that we get, but sometimes the number that we have in the program are not the number of teen mom that is out there, because sometimes there is more out there. But one of the things that we have to focus on is that these referrals come from within the schools. So if there are other teen moms out there and they don't want to go back to school, then we cannot enroll them on the program, because the main goal of the program is to ensure that they finish their secondary education, and if they want to go further, we have to follow them to that level as well until they graduate tertiary and go transition on to the working environment, and then we will let them graduate from the program.
And you said the main entity for referral would be probation?
Yes, well, the guidance counselors to probation, and then to us, so we are the last resort.
So when people try to contact you directly, like more than likely maybe even after you leave here, people might be calling you. You would, I guess, send them to a probation, or?
Well, that's the proper channel, but if there's an event where the case manager can deal with it in terms of taking the information, doing the intake process, and then passing the information to probation, then that can happen. But the proper channel is to refer them to probation, and then probation will send it to us.
So it sounds like Project Viola has been around for a while, but other than visiting the Gender Affairs Office, I don't think I ever heard anyone mention anything about Project Viola. So do you think you all need to do more outreach, or is it the way it should be now, where probation and the counselors and so on just do the necessary referrals, and you go ahead and do the program as you're doing it now?
Well, yeah, because we have to take into consideration that teen pregnancy is a very sensitive topic, and not many persons out there are in favor of it. So you have to be careful the different channels that you walk. At the end of the day, there are still teens, and confidentiality is a big factor that surrounds this program, and also them as teen mothers. So yeah, we have to.
So if someone is being referred at the age of 17, would that be an issue, or would that be okay for that person to join in?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're still a teen, they're still in school, so yeah, it won't be an issue.
So when you say in school, does this go all the way up to CFBC?
Yes, tertiary.
Okay. So I guess like
We have
AVEC and so on would be involved
yes,
in these kind of things.
because we have teen moms who didn't finish, who got pregnant in school, and they're afraid to go back, but would want to go to AVEC. And we still would try to encourage them to go back to high school, but we cannot force them. We could only encourage them, and we could only support them and try to ensure that at least there's some sort of education aspect that is involved in their life, because when a teen mom succeeds, their child also succeeds as well. So.
Okay, so while we're up there with the teen moms, so when a teen become pregnant, what usually is the first reaction from society towards this young teenage mother?
Society
Well,
are
well, hold on. Before you even go into that, hold that thought. I just want to say something, and I want to hear what Quint gonna say before you go into that.
okay.
Giving a lady a lift one day, Quint,
Yeah.
and there was this young teen pregnant on the side of the road. Looked like she was catching a bus. Looking at her, she couldn't be more than 17.
Yeah.
And the person who was giving the lift was a grown woman who already have children, probably in her 30s, close into 40s. And she started cussing out, well, not that the girl could hear her, but I'm a male, I'm a man,
Yeah.
she's a woman, there's a young girl on the side of the road pregnant, and she's cussing out the young girl, like, you know, why she didn't like continue she school, how she could. I mean, sometimes when men go out there and start fishing and doing all kind of strange things to get young girls to fall into their traps and so on,
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult for some of these girls to even escape. But yet, instead of giving some kind of support in the conversation, this woman is cussing out the young girl.
Well, I hear you, but there are two sides to the story because even though I hear you, I can understand her frustration too. Because let's say she has a daughter who got pregnant early, and she remembers what she had to go through. So now all of that comes back, and she's why
Right.
didn't she finish her? You understand?
So that might be a psychological response.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
at the end of the day, frustration shouldn't be the first thing that come out of your mouth, because you never know someone's situation.
Well,
There's
that is-
different factors that lead to teenage pregnancy.
That is why I
Because-
said. That is why I said there are two sides to the story.
Yes.
Because his side,
Yeah.
yes, because we must be realistic. Society is society, and it reacts a certain way. It's not always the best way, but their reaction stems from life experiences. So go ahead.
Yeah. So why you think, Vanessa, that these people react the way they do sometimes in society?
Judgment always the first point of reaction, because one, we focus it more on the mistake rather than offering support and guidance to the teen mother. And in society, we feel as though if we offer support and guidance, we accepting teenage pregnancy. But we have to think about the factors that surround teenage pregnancy, and also think about the baby as well. So if our frustration is at the teen mom's level, okay. But in order for the baby to get the necessities that is needed in terms of growth, and for the child to meet such milestones,
Yeah.
is the teen mom have to be able to provide that to the child. So in terms of encouragement and support and guidance that is needed,
The judgment comes first.
yeah.
So,
So I think we need to focus more on the guidance and the support and the encouragement, because too, one of the things that we tend to forget, that when a teen mom is pregnant, there's like a lot of things that is going through the teen mom's mind, because one, she can't believe she's pregnant, she can't believe she's carrying a child, she don't know what to do. So we need to offer that guidance, that knowledge to the teen mom in order for her to succeed and to better take care of her child, as well as to
so this is where really the emotional support comes in then.
yes, and also to prevent a second pregnancy. That's what I want to say.
Okay. So what would you
But
say?
before you go on,
Yeah.
I hear you again, and I agree with you, but let me put myself in that seat. I'm a parent. I have 5 children. I know that when my oldest daughter, she was doing good in school, and then bam, she got pregnant. I didn't really know, but she knew she got pregnant, so she found a way to get. I sent them to school, and she didn't come back home. She went to her mom. Okay. So how do you think a parent feels? Don't you think, I hear you, and the first thing shouldn't be to condemn, but again, we're human beings, and as a parent, when you've put a lot into something and you want the best for your child and you see them go a certain way, it takes a lot of maturity for you not to act out and say, but so my oldest daughter recently, she was having a having a bit of a conversation with me. She's a grown woman now, as I already have grand, and she said to me, she said, I didn't bring up the topic, but we were talking, and then she said to me, she said, Daddy, I wish I could have gone back and relive my life. And I said to her, no, don't think like that. You've already lived that. You're here now, so deal with it. But why do you think she said that?
Well, I think because she probably feel like she didn't get to experience her life or enjoy life.
Yeah.
And having a child brings a lot of pressure, brings
And
a lot of
responsibility.
responsibilities
Right.
as well. And sometimes we are not ready mentally nor physically to take care of a child. And I can speak from experience because even as a grown adult who should probably have their lives together, it's a lot to deal with, especially if you do not have the support from your families as well. And when a teen becomes pregnant, the first person to leave is the family. And depending on the age of the person that impregnates you, you don't want to reveal certain things. So you can't even look to that person to offer assistance or help to you or support to you. So you would expect that from your family, and they are the first to actually condemn you. So it takes a lot.
How do you like look at family support in an overall sense?
Well, when it comes to family support, I think that we should start by listening, because at the end of the day, the pregnancy already happened. So what are we going to do? We're going to condemn the child, or we're going to listen, offer guidance and support in order for that person to move forward. Because at the end of the day, it's not the end of their life. There's still opportunities out there for them to grasp to.
But these are the same grandparents or aunties and uncles who, when the child starts to grow up, still want to be holding up the child and loving up the child. But at the moment of the pregnancy, there's this, and Quint made a point, but that maybe sometimes that's a psychological response. So I know you might not have this into why you're dealing with Project Viola, but would Project Viola be willing to take on some kind of outreach, educational sort of outreach to kind of mitigate that type of psychological response from between parents and the children, when they get pregnant, instead of trying a tantrum, sometimes just approach it with more calm. Well, I'm saying that, right? But I know sometimes there are different circumstances. For instance, like a rape, for instance, might be completely different, because you did mention just now, if the person is not someone you could rely on. I was thinking that when you mentioned that, but yeah, I don't know if Project Viola, like I was asking, would be able to take on that arm, or if that arm already exists. I don't know.
No, it's not something that exists. I think that is something that could happen though, because one of the things that when we look at the participants that we have, some of the parents themselves are teen mothers.
Right.
So it's a cycle that is repeating itself. So, and they know what they went through. So it's like it happened to their child, and they don't know how to deal with it. Some of them don't know how to deal with it. So I guess that's where the frustration comes in.
So do you think, maybe based on what Quint was saying about his daughter and the conversations they had, I know sometimes there's the psychological response, but now that you mentioned that some things take up a kind of tradition where you just move from one generation to the next, could it be that maybe the reason Quint might be the better one to answer that, but the reason why she would be thinking that she would have liked to relive is because of that same judgment that you mentioned earlier, where society, instead of approaching the situation with a good vibe to give emotional support and so on, the kind of negative that come with it would sort of sink itself into that person to think that, you know what, this was a, and here we use the word, mistake.
Before we go into that, let's take a commercial break.
Okay, so when we come back, you tell us.
Yeah.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Campari. Red passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari, red passion, full action, this is red passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari, red passion, make the nicest mix. Campari.
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
And we are back with you. The time 25 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour. And so to answer the question, I didn't really, when she made that comment, I didn't really deal with that because like I said, I didn't want her to go back in the past. You know, I wanted, because as parents, we have got to be very careful sometimes.
Right.
We can't open old wounds, you understand? But what I feel that she was referring to was, because during the conversation before she made that statement, it was like she now understood some of the things that I used to tell her. You know, I used to say to both of my daughters and to my sons, I would say, look, I know you're going to have certain urges, you're a human being, but sex can wait, you know? Let it wait, because if you go and you indulge in it and you feel the good feeling now, as the old people say, what is sweet in the goat mouth is sour when it comes out from the rear. But they didn't understand, you know. A lot of things I spoke to my children about. But people, just like when I was a kid, parents spoke to me and I rebelled, you understand? But then when you get older, you look back and you scratch your head and you say, okay, now I understand what they were saying. So that is what she was more referring to.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things that as the parents know, I feel like they're not sitting down and having these conversations with the children as well, because some of them are not educated enough about safe sex or even to wait until the right time. Because I can remember throughout school, my father used to always say to me, like, you know, try to finish school. Boys can wait. They ain't going nowhere. The education is more important. And I used to be okay, Daddy, I hear you. Like, why you telling me this? You know?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't really understand.
Yeah.
Like, especially if your mind not open about thinking about those stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like they keep reminding you. Like my father used to always like remind me about these things. So it's like when I got pregnant, I was in my 20s, and I was still afraid to tell my father that I was pregnant. He had to find out on his own. Like,
Okay.
so it's like it's the conversation that we need to have with our
Yeah.
children about these things, which is important.
But sometimes those conversations might, because I guess while your father telling you whatever, you're thinking, it probably wouldn't happen to you.
Yes.
So until, so when you reach that age, even though you're no longer a teen, you're basically a grown woman now to some degree.
Yeah.
You don't have to really answer and look for that kind of support from Project Viola as such.
What I realized, though, to go back to society, what I realized in our Caribbean society, and mainly with the mothers, even though when their daughters get pregnant, they kind of make noise first, most of them, they support their daughters. That is from what I see. Most of them, yeah, they make their noise. Oh, yeah, well, you better don't think because so, you better go look at work. But if you look at most of the mothers, they look after their daughters when they go through that. The problem is those very same mothers don't, like you were saying before, have conversations with the boys. You understand? They have these conversations with their daughters, but they let their boys run free. And that is another problem.
But don't you think that the psychological response is almost natural in a sense?
Yeah.
Because it is something, the fact that you're bringing like introducing a new human being to your family without any prior notice, so to speak. and
a lot of these mothers too, they will live their lives. Maybe a lot of them got pregnant early, and they remember the struggle, and they're willing to help you, but they're thinking, wow, that's another more food on the table, bills to pay, this, but they're still gonna help. But what I see some of them do, tell me what you both of you feel about it, is they would make their noise, but they say, look, I'm going to help you, but you're going to go out and you're going to look at work. Soon as you feel you're in a certain position where you can go out and look at work, you could leave the child with me. That's if they're home and they're not home. So you could leave the child with me, I'll help you, but I'll only do that if you're going to go out there and look at work. And the reason why they do that is because they want those daughters to feel the weight of responsibility.
Right, we feel it early.
Yeah.
But like telling a teen to look at job, their mind becomes relaxed and they stray away from continuing their education. So you have to be careful when you say they to go and look at work, because remember, without the proper education, you can't get the proper work that is needed. So going to look at work is probably like a part-time work, probably like in a supermarket or somewhere small, but we still want to emphasize the importance of the education aspect, because at the end of the day, you're already a teen mom, so you don't want to be a teen mom without an education, because that education will carry you a long way. So we want to put emphasis on education being the number one priority.
And then I guess it depends on how far up the teen ladder they are, because I wouldn't expect you telling a 13-year-old they need to go look at work.
You'll be surprised.
For real?
Because trying to juggle school and raising your child is difficult, because I just hear the teen moms complain and say sometimes it's very hectic.
But let me
trying to
ask you
study
this.
and take care
Let
of
me
it.
ask you this question, because in the field of your work, and I realize that you put a lot of emphasis on making sure you protect these teen mothers. But because of the fact that we live in a real world, and when you make certain mistakes, they bring consequences. Do you feel that these girls should be just sheltered completely and pampered, and or should they start to feel some weight that lets them know you made a mistake, and yeah, we're going to work with you, but we want you to understand you made a mistake and there are consequences in life?
I wouldn't say pamper or shelter them, because yes, we have to bring it to the attention that yes, you made a mistake, and we are here to guide you forward. We are here to ensure that you do not end up in this situation again. We are here to push you, so we're not here just offering these nice things to you, giving everything to you. That's why I said that once you're in Project Viola, you have to attend at least 80% of our developmental sessions. Anything that we have in, they know that they're supposed to be there to attend, because we are already providing all the assistance to you and your baby, catering to your needs. So it's time for you to give back to us as well, because we are not here to just give you handouts.
Okay.
We are here to bring light to your upbringing and the child as well.
Yeah. Hey, God?
I was thinking in these developmental programs, is there a session for parenting in a, almost like what one would dub as parenting class?
Yeah, we do parenting sessions with them. We do mental wellness sessions. We do a number of sessions. We try to tailor, we do school visits. Mm-hmm. So if we go to a school and the teacher, the guidance counselor or the teachers would say that time management is an issue for them, self-confidence is an issue, then we try to do these sessions around these things that they are weak in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we don't just up and just do any random sessions. It's about their well-being. So.
Because I know someone who is a firm believer that parental classes should be in the school curriculum. And what do you think about that? Because I know you might be focusing on the teens who got pregnant, but maybe to even start the assistance early by thinking about parental classes in the school, not just for those who got pregnant, but for everyone. Do you think that would be a good idea? I'm not, like I said, this is a friend of mine who is a firm believer in that. I'm not so sure if
tricky. I don't think there is something that I agree with, because we don't want to look like we are enforcing these beliefs upon them. I mean, these are things that could be taught at home by their parents. Like if you have siblings, we are in charge of taking care of our siblings if our parents are at work. So I guess if we are at the age of understanding and learning things, I guess our parents could teach us the basics at least, but rather than to leave it up to the school, I mean.
But it seems like in the Caribbean, teenage pregnancy is very, very common, and ranked very high in the sense of when you have to look at births, like a lot of us, myself, I don't know about Quint, we may have been product of teenage pregnancy, but back then it was looking okay. Today it look a little different. I don't know if because of the technological advances or the separations of families. We know, like once ago you would have a yard where the entire family lived there. You don't even need no preschool or them kind of things, because the family would take care. So who gone to work, who home, stay home. And that Asian community setup, it seemed to have a good moral structure, moral development, at least provide a good moral compass for people back then. Now today,
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because this morning I was given a lift, coming down, and by a man, and he was telling me that he and one of his sons were having a bit of a argument last night and blah blah blah, and it came down to that very same conversation. We as a Caribbean people, we moved away from our Afrocentric roots, because the Afrocentric roots was the village raised the child. When colonialism came in, because colonialism put the emphasis on breeding for machinery to do the work, right? By the time they reached that point where they pretended they had some moral value, and they said, okay, we're finished, we're going to abolish slavery. The damage that they had done to us, right, was immense. But even with all that damage, we still grew up, like you said, Agar and myself, where we had that family knit. Everybody live in a yard. But here's what has happened now. And I don't know how we're going to remedy it. Everything is so expensive because with from the time colonialism morphed into this industry now, what they did was they industrialized everything. So whereas Egard was speaking about, here's this big yard, 3-4 families living there. A lot of the middle age, those who are of working age and so forth, but all of the older people weren't put in any homes or anything like that,
Not deck here.
Not deck. So they were living in that yard.
Yeah.
So when all of the people in their 30s, 40s and so forth were going out to work, those elder people were right there in that yard. So the children were in that yard, being nurtured by the grandmother, well, a lot of the grandfathers weren't there because of the breeding culture.
Well, I wanted to add to the breeding to say they were breeding and separating families.
Yes, yeah.
So I think in this latter time now, the separation, because it started then and the separating now is fully in swing, because the population of St. Kitts have not really grown.
Yeah.
But yet the housing, and even in politics, you always hear people arguing about housing. I don't know why the housing thing is a big issue, because the more housing, like everybody in their own house, then there's this big separation, this void. I mean, there's a positive to it because it gives rise to businesses for daycare center, preschool, and all of that. But sacrificing that family togetherness that once raised us and provided a moral compass.
Yeah.
So we have to work out which one was better, which model was better.
And if you look at society today and how a lot of the young people's attitudes are, then it begs the question, is the daycare center doing what? Because the daycare center has X amount of children, X amount of teachers. The teachers can't put emphasis on each child as the kind of nurturing they would have gotten.
And the bonding too.
You understand?
The family bonding wouldn't be there. So I mean, like I said, it gives rise to certain businesses, but we have to work out what the trade-off was.
Yeah.
And that moral compass and other things might have been what we traded away for this new kind of dynamics. So, yeah.
I guess I feel like the new age now we have the parent who is young, then we have the child who is also young, and then we have the grandmother who is also young.
So everybody
as well.
young.
That's a good point.
We like back in the day, we have a grandmother, a grandfather who are home that could you could leave a child with. But now it's different.
You're right.
We have children becoming parents.
Yeah.
So
And that puts a whole different.
Everything changed. Everything changed.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of Project Viola is a good idea, but it seemed like it have to also evolve to kind of catch up with certain realities that we face, because the Caribbean. I was doing some work in a casino one day, and the guy who was basically the boss there, they were asking, like, is it a thing that once you reach 18 to 20 you must get pregnant? Because it's as if like all the female that they knew, once they reach that age range there, from 18 going up there, they don't have a child. And it kind of continues today.
That again comes down to a lot of factors in society. One, how a lot of these young women, like this lady was quite fortunate. She had a father.
She started, plus she started age 20s.
Okay, and but I put emphasis on the father thing because the lack of having fathers in the home, a lot of these young girls lack that male aspect of it. So they grow up and they're looking for that father figure, right? And they're also looking for something to nurture because a lot of them they're lonely, they have no one to talk to, and then their friend tells them certain things, and like I said, they don't see the big road and the pitfalls and so forth. All they see is, I'm lonely, I need a companion. If I get a boy and I get a child, I have a child I could nurture. They don't see the whole big picture. Is when they get the child. No, you know what? You know when a lot of parents wake up, young women, when the child starts to keep them up all night, that's when they understand.
I think poverty plays a factor in teenage pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, if they don't have a father figure, they're going to look for it out there. But also, if I come from a home where we are not financially stable, and as I said, friends and peer pressure, I might meet upon somebody,
Yeah.
a boy, for instance, who have a little money, and I might feel like, and I go and I do things with him, and then it happens, and it just so happens that he's way older than me,
Yeah.
and so forth. So,
You know, that is one of the main factors for teenage pregnancy.
yes,
Is one of the main, because a lot of the older men, they have jobs and they prey on these younger
yes,
women and
they
these
take
younger
advantage.
yeah, and these younger women.
Well, once ago is like a top up,
Yeah.
a phone top up, and so would lead to that and them
Yeah.
type of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was wondering, Vanessa, is there any penalties for the men who would bribe, or for mothers who would pimp their daughters? Is there beyond just taking care of the girls and helping them and giving them what support? From what you know, I know they say in your area really, but is there any penalties for men, or parents? Let me not just say for men, for
Not-
parents who
not
pimp
that I
their
know.
children?
Not that I know of. I think we don't put much pressure on the parents as like holding them accountable. So, yeah, not that I know of.
So pimping is almost legal here, Quinn. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah. It's a sad thing, but
Sometimes the parents themselves too allows the behavior as well,
But
Like,
wouldn't this
they
go
are
into,
real.
wouldn't this come from the same poverty that you mentioned though? Because sometimes the mother thinking that she could use her young daughter to bring in some money
Yes.
to buy food, to pay bills and so on. So maybe,
Not saying that that's
right.
accurate, like, but it's
Yeah.
feasible,
Yeah.
but we don't know.
yeah.
But I'm gonna. I was doing some research on the same teenage pregnancy recently, and I came across some things that. The things I came across, I was baffled as a man and as a father. I couldn't believe that men were doing this and fathers were doing this to their daughters.
For pimping?
Not only pimping, but fathers were sexually
Oh.
abusing their daughters,
Oh.
right? I heard, you remember that song by the Fugees? You remember the Fugees did over this song, Killing Me Softly? Hey God?
Yeah, the
Roberta
Fugees.
Flack
Yeah.
sang that song, and then the Fugees
Yeah.
came up and did a cover. I was surprised to hear that one of the main individuals, an African guy who was part of promoting and producing that song, that man abused 3 of his daughters, abused them. He started abusing one of his oldest daughter when she was about 8 years old.
Imagine that.
And then he abused her to the point of he impregnated her and then impregnated the second daughter and pregnant. I mean, this is the kind of world we're living in.
Well, that's a whole different
I
conversation.
couldn't believe. I couldn't look. I was like, I started to do research because when the lady was speaking, this woman was speaking about it, right? She didn't call any. What she said he had reached where he was popular. Everybody knew him. He had just produced the song "Killing Me Softly" with the Fugees. So I went on the internet and type in the song "The Fugees" and see who was. And people, you can do that, see who was the producer behind it. The man was a monster. These are the things that are happening to. So they are different. I brought up that because when we see it, we just say, oh, they're pregnant. But there are different aspects of why these things happen,
Yeah.
And some of them are horrible.
Yes, by law, the men would be prosecuted, and that is the role for probation and child protection services, and I think special victims unit to prosecute these men.
Well, we're definitely going to try to get probation here to sift out some of these questions that we have.
Yes.
Because
We're going to take a commercial break and come back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Campari. Red passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari red passion, full action, this is red passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink, Campari red passion, make the nicest mix. Campari!
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
It's in the feeling in our we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping. Together going strong. No matter what, we keep things flowing. Before we will go all in. Our hands up in the sky. Celebrate and come let your rhythm flow.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
And we are back at the time, 10:51. I'm going to go right to you, Agard.
Yeah, well, we hear what about Project Viola, and I would just like Vanessa to just give us a small summary again, like what Project Viola is all about, just for those who came in late.
Yeah.
Okay, so Project Viola is a department within, it's a program within the Department of Gender Affairs that was named after a teen mom who had immense potential to succeed, but she wasn't offered the opportunity to go back to school because of being pregnant.
Okay.
And the federal cabinet would have issued a cabinet policy in the late 90s confirming the rights of teenage mothers to complete their secondary education.
Okay, I think I remember when that happened.
And then the goals of Project Viola is to ensure that they complete their secondary and tertiary education, to break the cycle of poverty, violence, and abuse common to teen mothers and their child.
Okay.
The age range for Project Viola is from 13 to 19.
But you will take 12-year-olds.
Yes.
Has there been any case below 12?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, because I think I've heard of some situations where I think that let's say a 10-year-old may have gotten pregnant somewhere in the world. I don't remember where. Yeah, so I was hoping that saying it's in that part of the world or anything like that.
Yeah.
No,
But-
not that I know.
But yeah, well, so the project Viola, like I say, I've never heard about it outside the walls of gender affairs, and I don't know if that's good. That's probably the way it should be, because I guess sometimes too much publicity could be maybe not so good.
Well, I mean, we're trying to spread the awareness of teenage pregnancy, not more so of like, as well as what we do in the department as it relates to Project Viola. I guess not everybody wants to hear about teenage pregnancy because they don't agree with it, and they probably feel as though we are accepting it, but we are not.
But it's not about, I don't know about whether they agree with it or not. Because whether you agree the sky blue or not, it's still blue.
And that is one
Yes.
that is one of the problems we face in life, where it baffles me that we live in a real world, but still grown people don't want to be realistic and understand that these are the realities of a real world. You understand? So,
Yes, and I could pinpoint one instance in the past where we would have been spreading some awareness about teenage pregnancy and Project Viola per se, and one organization didn't allow us to stick our flyers on their building because the fear, well, they said that they didn't want to seem as though they
were
are in
promoting it,
support
yeah.
of it, so we couldn't stick it there. So even though we tried to promote it, as Agard mentioned, that he haven't heard much about it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not doing our job. We are out there spreading the word, but not everybody wants to hear.
I'm going to show you a point. Like, I don't know about a God, but I know I grew up in the church. And eventually I moved away from the church because of the blatant hypocrisy of the church. Because the church preaches all this moral this and this moral that and then the very same church to come back to this point of living in a real world and accepting that in a real world things will happen. The church, when certain things happen, a lot of the members in the church, who are mainly women, they are the ones whispering and gossiping behind, and the person, you see a young person come in, they just had a child, and the person could feel their negative energy. Even though you
Yes.
can't hear them, you could feel it. You turn, you know, sometimes
All
you,
the steers and
Yeah.
everything.
The judgmental
the
Yeah.
eyes.
judgmental thing, you know, rather than saying, look, okay, yeah, we understand you made that mistake. We would have preferred you didn't make, but let's move on from here
Yes.
and let's be no, is this, and you know this, and you know.
And that's where guidance and support come in. And as women too, we need to do better. We need to do better in terms of like educating our young women and being there for them.
Yeah, I think women supporting women seem to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even
We
just
always
with
pick
this,
the judge.
in almost every aspect of life in the Federation.
I'm going to show you this. As a father, like I said, you know, having my children, and using myself as an example. I have a daughter. I'm not in a relationship with that mother anymore, right? But I say to the mother, look, so-and-so is reaching a certain age. I want you to sit down with her and speak to her about the changes that her body is going to go through and being prepared for them. For instance, like when she begins to menstruate and that kind of stuff, right? I would think that her mother is going to do that, right? Her mother doesn't do it. But I'm involved with another woman now, presently, right? So I go to this woman who I'm with now and I say, look, you know, my daughter, so and so and so, I want you to sit. I spoke to her mother about such and such and such, and her mother, when I asked her, she said her mother hasn't broached it. So could you sit down and speak, you know, with her about it? She
So-
says, okay. But she doesn't do that. How I'm going to find out that now? When me and the second mother break up, right, and she goes away, I know I'm concerned for my daughter. So I say to her, let me ask you something. Did so and so speaking about the woman who I was with last? I say, did she tell you anything about the stages you're going to go through and blah blah blah? She said no. So you understand the predicament I was in now. Suppose I wasn't a father who I had to sit down with my daughter, speak about certain things, go with her, get the pads and so forth. That's before she begins, reach that stage and say, at any time this might happen. If this happens, you don't want so and so and so and so. Because I remember working at the industrial site, and the master syndrome where they have you working like machines, and when a certain time and your break gone, you can't go to the bathroom. And I saw a woman sit down there and she began to menstruate, and you see the blood running down her legs. In our so-called modern society, you understand? So you understand what I'm saying, young lady?
Yes, I understand, because I feel like as women, as parents, we don't know how to have these conversations with our children, because my mother never had that conversation with me. And I can remember when it happened to me, I did not know what to do.
Yeah.
And
It's almost like
yeah,
panic.
I hope your mother ain't listening and you get some fixed later.
No, but
Truth
it's
in
the
the-
honest truth,
Yeah.
because probably a lot of girls around menstrual age probably going to the same thing and don't know.
Don't know.
Don't know who to ask, don't even know what's happening. Is my sister-in-law at the time is who had to guide me through that process. So
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know what the parents are waiting on. I feel like it's fear of not knowing how to have this conversation. Like, so I guess
part
sometimes we
of
can't
re-
believe
shouldn't
that
that
our
be natural,
child
though?
is growing up.
It's part of religion to
Shouldn't that be-
Agar.
You think it's part of religion?
It's part of religion because they're so staunch in this religion thing. It's yea or nay. There's no middle ground. There's no nothing. So even to bring up, rather than bring up the conversation about sex and say, are you contemplating sex? Well, look, I want you to sit down and think about that and get your education for it. They don't want to have the conversation because it is taboo. It is forbidden.
I think now I kind of grasp what you're saying, because it's like there's an expectation that is there in the religious community.
Yeah.
So they might think it's unnecessary to say these things because the expectation is that this wouldn't happen to
It's
you.
not
This
supposed
ain't
to happen.
supposed to happen to
Yeah.
you. So therefore, I got you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's religion, because religion don't have anything to do with menstruating.
No,
I
No.
mean-
What he's saying is that because of the expectation, they're not having the conversation.
Yeah.
Because they don't expect you to get pregnant. They
Yeah.
don't expect you to have a boyfriend.
because they're
they
so
don't
strict
expect
with
you
it.
to do anything.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
so
don't
based
even
on-
bring up that talk.
based on
Don't
those
talk.
ex-
Just don't do it. That's
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that their
okay, I
position.
understand.
So-
Well, we can't live like that forever.
With that's it.
But
I
but
don't know.
but quick question though, because the fact that Quint gave his experience and you gave yours, and they seem to be pretty much the same way. What is it? I mean, remember I was asking about this educational outreach with Project Viola. How do you get that information? How do you get to these parents who have children and just wouldn't have that conversation? Is there any?
Well, one of the things that I know now, they are trying to push the menstrual conversation within the schools, because I know Lake Health and Wellbeing has launched something in Nevis, the schools in Nevis, and I think they are looking to put like dispensers and so forth within the schools with pads and so forth. And I think I don't know if they had started in the schools in St. Kitts as yet, but it's something that they are looking.
And that brings us back to religion, because when they do that, the church says you're encouraging sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
So
So I don't know
But
if it's
isn't
an
there
approval.
something in school already that they teach? Because I remember when going to school,
Well,
they had this session they call, what do you call it again? But it was about, it's like biology but sexual health. I
yeah,
don't
they
remember what
do.
they call it. Quint, what they
I
call
think
it?
Yeah, they do
used to call it
sexual
sex
health,
ed or
but
sex
I don't think you
education.
go in depth.
Sex education.
Well, I know in my time, well, I went to convent, so you know, that's more religion based. So that's not something they're gonna talk to us
Which brings the
about.
point.
Yes,
Which
yeah.
brings
that's
the
the
point
point, yeah,
directly.
yeah.
Because the expectation is that you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore we're gonna say it because maybe saying it is an encouragement to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it all comes together. Well, we use up the
Yeah,
hour.
we're just about 11 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes past 11.
Is there any final words that you would like to give out to the public, Vanessa?
I would just like to end by saying teen pregnancy should be approached with understanding and support and not shame. Compassion can help young mothers rebuild confidence, continue their goals, and provide better future for themselves and their children.
Yeah.
I totally
So
agree.
in
I agree,
self-criticism,
yeah. Good words.
Good words.
just
And
support.
we must commend you because you're quite young and your head is on in the right way. So
Yeah. Well,
that's good. We have a caller. Hello, caller.
Good day to everybody.
Yeah.
let's have
Greetings
greetings.
once
Greg.
more in Jesus Christ's name,
Yeah.
the only Savior of sinners. Now, what I'm going to say is this. What you all said concerning religion, it might be, yes, that is how religion might be practiced today. But let's not get mixed up. That might be true where religion are concerned today, where religions are concerned today. But it is not true where the Bible is concerned. Because the Bible teaches us to bring up our children correctly, inform them about the issues of life, and that sort of stuff. So,
So let me ask you, Greg. I'm going to put you in the spot now. Let me ask you. I want you to use your mind because I know you're not a parent. But let's say you were a father like me, and you were in the situation I explained with my daughter. Would you sit down and have a conversation like that?
well, I would explain to my daughter that, and this fun time she's a toddler coming up, but I would explain to her level that, you know, hey, this is the way the Bible starts, such and such is the way the Bible. You're expected to menstruate. I would teach her the biology as far as I know, where her body is concerned.
Yeah.
Because the Bible wants us to teach our children to grow up wise, knowledgeable concerning all the issues of life.
Well, Greg,
You know?
Greg, I must commend you because I would have thought that, knowing how staunch you about certain things, I would have thought that you are one of them who would have had a thing, a prejudice against teaching that kind of stuff. But so it's good to hear that you're open to that kind of conversation because that is a good level of maturity.
Yeah, when religion goes against the Bible, I goes against religion, and you know, and we both agreed that that was wrong. You should have been taught, and that's all. So yes, religion do play this thing because you know the Victorian mentality. You don't speak about certain things and that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
if you read, for example, the book of the Songs of Solomon and that sort of stuff, I mean, I would think that a lot of people, based upon the Victorian morals and that sort of that they would like to get rid of certain parts of the Bible. Anyhow, thank you very much. Take care.
Yeah, Greg, give thanks again. You know, Greg can jump in.
So we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to take a commercial break so that we can segue the young lady can leave, and we'll be right back.
Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
It's in the feeling in our we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping. Together going strong. No matter what, we keep things flowing. For the people we will go all in. Our hands up
Come, build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Whether it's a new home, a renovation, or a DIY project, we're here to make it happen. That's why we say, build with us. From foundation to finish, come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're not just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hostels.
Building supplies, electrical supplies, furniture, appliances, carpets and tiles. It's the company where you can get it all. All at TDC, Home and Building Depot. From lawn and garden, the TVs and stereos. All at TDC, Home and Building Depot. Come on down, get what you're looking for. It's all at TDC, Home and Building Depot.
And we're back with you, the time 10 minutes after the 11 o'clock hour. And right back to you, Mr. Agard.
Yeah, well, blessed greetings. So we now into our second half, and this second half we're focusing on African liberation. And in studio we have with us Ras Aya. Now, as being a part of the Rastafarian community, one of the things that I've learned and others have learned is that Haile Selassie gave a command to Rasta basically to liberate the people. Liberate the people. And, I guess sometimes we get crossed up in different things, and sometimes the liberation process seems to be a little bit setback. But every year, without fail, we give some energy towards the African liberation celebrations and what's not. So, Rasaya, give us a little rundown about what you all have been doing and how the celebration went off Monday, and what else happening this week and so on. So I know you all have quite a bit of activities surrounding African liberation, and maybe I don't know if you want to give the public also some information about the actual celebration itself.
Well, greetings and give thanks to the family of WinFM for having I in the grace of the love of the ancestors and the great divine Kadamai Haile Selassie the. I know Imperial Majesty also I would like to say thanks a lot, Brother Agard, for having I be a campaign within I aspect to lay out these activities that we are embarking from the 24th of May to the 30th of May, to give more outline of our community orientation in the part of our gesture to highlight African liberation day as a great mean for why we shall have it celebrated to be a part of our core within our shores of St. Kitts and Nevis. So on the aspect of the liberation from the team, we have behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in love and unity. So we have really, within the impaction of the team, to really raise that as standard, because when we look at the recent General Assembly that was held in the United Nations just previous of the month, just gone there, where you see the resolution that was passed within having the aspect of our people, of ancestors within having their seeing that the gravest crime against humanity was able to was adopted in the United Nations General Assembly. So that is where we see the focal point is very important to assert our people. What a tragedy, what a apply upon I. African liberation there is the impaction of what we're coming out of colonialism and neo-colonialism that is still raging the head against African unity.
Yeah, well, do you think that in the Federation, not even just the Caribbean, but do you think in the Federation there is enough educational movement towards having these youths understand what it is when we say African liberation?
That's a very, very vital point that you raised. If we do think that we have any portion of the youths and really reflecting on African liberation, then when we look at how the format is really set out in the education system, it's a very shame to see the percentage that we have impact in our generation from even of the get-go before even enslavement that they call is in the colonial era. Africans have been charging on these areas to impact their service to these regions. So to say we don't see these things now being aligned to respond to African liberation is a shame. The educational system have been very stagnant of not raising these things as a part of the curriculum. Even though they say they do use these things to guide in their aspect of it, either they use it in the standard of they call it the test standard or the syllabus, CXC and them things there. You see these things don't really give much gravity to our people, basically within the format of their heritage.
Yeah.
So you still have a lot of gaps that being inserted to the educational response to our people. And we, in the common level of our African heritage, must be instilled that to our generation, because it's not done that is enforced. It's something that born in us to be an African.
Well, before we even go forward, just introduce Ras Sankofa, who just joined us.
Yeah, blessings, Rastafari.
Yeah. But Rasaya, do you think though that the educational aspect of it would be kind of conflicting with government's agendas? Because if you liberate people and people become critical thinkers, then this Westminster system of governance and all these things that seem to be oppressing our people, do you think that the educating of our youngsters and letting them get a better view and understanding of the African liberation concept, do you think this poses a threat, or would there be conflict with our present so-called government system?
I verify this as like state out. What we have to know is know thyself. It cannot be nothing to defy the educational system, but the aspect is how to deal with tolerance. And we realize we see much of the educational format that even implement guidance to the youth. They're not having tolerance still. I've been a victim of that education system. That's why I could state it like that. Because when we all in school, and I could recall a teacher stand in front of I as a student and say, he must see I in my blues. When a person state them kind of thing as an educator to a child, what do you think a child will be able to impact? But it's a good thing that we had a different mindset to what they were inserting and what they think that we might have fallen for. So these are things that we see challenging basically within the format of our educational level. And we can't have ego in this aspect when you're teaching children.
Yeah.
And that's the problem of killing our format to raise the standard of our African awareness.
Sankova, what you would say to that?
To the question I would suppose.
Yeah, about the conflict between educating the youths and the governance, this government system that we currently have before us.
I think they could actually work hand in hand, but you have to have a prime minister or a government that believe in African unity. That's kind of have a pan-African way of thinking still. And it will be easy for you to work hand in hand in that situation. What we have is that a lot of people prefer the Westminster system than creating their own system of governance through that African heritage that we had from the ancient sea. And it's like there's a way now to actually merge the two, because you have to within this part, because we were colonized by these people. So some level of their system will be here for us to implement, but our main focus should be on our thinkers, our youths that we develop in, and show them the African history through our lens as Africans, and not just to please the slave master. So right now we have a lot of ministers of government and people in the high society. They try to do everything to please the slave masters, when everything Africa have is within her, inside your body and inside in the area of the motherland as well, same way still too, and the diaspora. So it's like when African righteous people come together, that's when the world will come together. So all the people then would have to do who is in position would have to be more Afrocentric and encourage the development of African unity. So I think it can work, but it's just very hard because, as you say, it's a conflict based on the type of person you would have in a particular area, you know?
Well, before we go into... Okay, sound like we have somebody on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, greetings. Greetings, gentlemen.
Greetings,
blessings.
Let me share my input after listening to the last speaker, who said that he thinks that it can work, meaning our politicians. Now, take note, gentlemen. We have politicians who are not leaders. Now, I support what Aya said. Because you see, now we have a lot of young men and women in politics here in our space. For any young person want to go into politics, they have to be aware. You don't just jump up and go into politics without being aware. What are we going to be? What are we supposed to be aware of? Of our awareness, our reality. We have to know where we came from and where we are going. It cannot work with the politicians of today. Look at now. There's a saying when I was much younger, growing up, that I think it's in the scripture that said the stone that the builders rejected is now become the head corner. Now, when we look at the Rastafari in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the Caribbean, who was ridiculed? Who was rejected? The rafters. So the stone that was rejected is now the head corner. We cannot join up with politicians who are going along to get along. So, Sankofa, I don't agree with what you're saying, that it can work.
I said once the person is Afrocentric.
Yeah, I heard all that you said.
Because if you see the man working, he's people in Grenada.
Sankofa, I heard what you said, but you sound like you're having a double tongue.
No.
No. And I'm not being disrespectful to you. I mean, we can't be like this. This is not the time for us to have double mouth here. Let us examine our reality. This is serious and it is very deep.
I wouldn't say I'm having a double tongue. You have to listen to what I said. I said directly, if the politician is Afrocentric and he have a calling towards African unity, then it is possible.
Well, Sankofa,
you know?
Now, this is Journey here. This is Journey speaking. I have said, right, that we cannot unite until we become knowledgeable.
But Journey,
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but for sure I agree with what I'm saying.
Journey, what he said, I agree with what Sankofa is saying.
Because I listened to the speech of Grenada last night, and it was touching.
Hear this, Journey. What he's saying, and you're kind of pushing it back a bit, is he emphasized it. As long as they, just like what you're saying, as long as they're aware of their roots, as long as they're aware of their Africanism, then it can work. That is what he was saying.
Yeah, I got that, Clint. But you see, for me, we can't polish up things. We have to be radical here. And me being radical, I'm not being disrespectful to...
Love, man, love.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not being disrespectful, but, you know, we cannot be pliant. We cannot be passive by acting as if we don't know what was done.
But here's where I agree with you, Journey. Here's where I agree with you, though. I agree with you 100% that it cannot work with most of these politicians that we have today. Because most of these politicians, almost 99 point something of them, follow. Look at the United States of America. And they're still determining policies and how we govern ourselves down here. And our leaders are kissing up to them.
Yeah. And you see, Quint and the rest of the panel there, right? Now, I wanted to open this morning with my point of what's been happening on a global scale, where the Pope has apologized. Now, I've mentioned, I don't want to go off track with you guys, but you see, my passion is like, the Pope apologized. Is that supposed to appease us?
No.
Now, look at what they did. They, just a couple of months back, right? In Belgium, they took one 93-year-old man who was a part of the unaliving of Patrice Lumumba to trial. As if that's supposed to make us feel somewhere.
Look, Johnny, remember it's the Pope that sanctioned slavery in the beginning, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, Quinn, what I'm saying is this, right? You see this platform that we use? We can use social media in a way that could even cripple BBC, CNN, and even Al Jazeera. But we are not aware. Most of us are unaware, Quint. Because I commented the Pope, I said, man, take your apology deep in the Vatican to the European politicians and America.
Look,
Your apology should go.
as far as we are concerned, the Pope is of no real moment because, again, we go back to this. It was the Pope who said, who gave Christopher Columbus and all those, he sanctioned them and he said, convert them to Christianity. And if you cannot convert them to Christianity, kill them in the name of the Lord. It was the Pope who said that. And look at what all that came out of that.
No, I'm going to finish up now, Quinn. But what I'm saying is this, right? We have to be aware that these people in their space, they know when to move, they know when to push things on the media, they know when to act. Because you see, the Pope was in Cameroon just recently, and there's where he made his apology against the transatlantic slave trade. But I'm saying this, that we have to be aware now that we know the game that they play. And this is why I'm saying now, our politicians here, they are not leaders. They are followers. And they are just politicians.
Okay, Johnny.
I just want to get that in, guys. So, you know,
Yeah, Johnny.
We're going to take
respect to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Enough love.
We're going to take a bit of a commercial break and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Let's get back to the discussion because Simeon has stuck here and it happens now and again.
Okay, well, I would like to say that listening, Johnny, I mean, sometimes this is how conversations does develop.
Hey, God, come a bit towards me. You're gone out of the shot.
Okay, so
a little bit more.
I find that
perfect.
What Sankofa said was an approach aware, like he think that could work. Johnny is saying no, he don't think that approach can work. So, and this is where people's opinion could come on the table and we have like discussions, but sometimes it's not about flat out disagreeing with a situation, but to maybe offer a different idea, different concept. Because sometimes when you say you flat out disagree with somebody.
But both of them are right though, you know.
Yes, that's the point.
Right,
That's the point I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The point I'm getting at is that while we are looking for the same goal, trying to reach the same place, sometimes we may just have a different way of getting there. And one might not see the other one way as being effective, so the other person might be thinking that their way is more effective. But before we go down into that deep,
we have a caller. Hello, okay. Caller. Sankofa, see if you come a little bit towards me. Let me see if you come to me. Yeah, okay.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Greetings all. We are listening to reasoning and give thanks. We just tune in when it's another radio station because we just do it sometimes. All right. First thing we want to say, we'll do it already. Give thanks to the reason. And we're going to start off by saying, we overstand the point that Rastan Kofor was making. And it is not no double tongue. Because clearly, once he writes phrases, because he said it, once they are African-centered, minded, once they are in that level, of course it can work. It won't work if they're not on that level. But once they're on that level, because it's a consciousness, you know.
Yeah.
And we are all African people, including politicians who are of our race. You know, they're African people also. So it is not impossible for them to attain that, even though it is not easy neither. You know, you see, it's not an easy thing to have the right faces in the right places. You know, when we coined that in Jamaica on campus by Kadamari Knife Corner, he said, it should. Where you get that? I said, but it just come. Right faces in the right places beget successes after successes. And that includes attaining.
Aye.
The lady said, my credit's gone down. But once we to attain where we was rightfully, because hey, no matter what the crisis, you know, His Majesty say, good over evil. Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Yeah. Yes, I eat truth.
I just wanted still, as we started, I wanted you to give me a rundown like what happened Monday. I wasn't there personally, so you could run it down from Monday to what else happening in the week or whatever else.
Well, let me start from how the activities start within the 24th.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I give thanks for outlining this year thoroughly because the 24th was I stayed to have the activities to go to the 30th. And we have great side visit where we went and pay homage to our Nyabingi Virgin and Sishin and of the Rastafari community to lay our respect for the great attribution in the time of the physical moment. So we had that there, and then I went forward in the evening at sunset where we had Nyabingi Isis for groundation to bring in the eve of the charter signing of African Liberation Day. And that was at I Will Life Farm in Sandy Pine. And then the 25th, which is the day itself marking the Liberation Day, Freedom Day, on the 25th of May, 1963, where we see 63 years now, and the Diamond Jubilee. We embrace that charter that was signed with 32 heads of state able to come together and commence one vision and goal. Even though he wasn't able, impactive, to get that works go one time, but the emphasis was impactive to see nation come together and rise to rally for a call and a common goal. So this is where we see in Nevis, at the Natural Liberty, we were able to have celebrated the African Liberation Day over there at Natural Liberty, and it was from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. and I had performance by Sankofa and the house of Yehuda with their releasing new track as it outlined, and then we have performance where we were seeing youths from the German circle of the African spiritual drummers who are very impactful to their ancestral remnants when it comes to knocking the harps, you see, because the harps is a weapon that destroys the evil force too, you know. It's a weapon, and it's a Camp and Paradise, the whole Cook and Pop and all of them demon people there. So that was a very, very impacting to see youths using the harps with the instrument of our elder Rastafari being here over there, who are being impacted to youths in the shows of Nevis when it comes to the
So I want to get you clear. You were saying youths were playing the harp
here? In Nevis.
Harp means drums,
not the...
Okay. Because, you know, I'm a musician, you know, so when because I was saying, wow, you know what I'm saying?
The drums are the harps.
Yeah, okay.
It's a very vital to see that we had youths, and it was instrumental that young and old and impact that as the next day of the 28th, the primary school in Monty Welch, located in Boys and West Farm region, and our host who are here will be the presenter to make that presentation of the charter that was established in 1963, outlining the celebration that we're having for African Liberation Day. Yeah. So these are the avenues that we are creating to enhance into the higher learning of our institution. So even though teachers deny us, we're not denying the youths them.
That's good.
Okay, let's take that break now and we'll be back.
Okay, then. We have a little break.
It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping. Together going strong. No matter what, we keep things flowing. Before we will go all in. Our hands up in the sky. Celebrating. Come let your rhythm flow.
Building supplies, electrical supplies, furniture appliances, carpets and tiles. It's the company where you can get it all. All at TDC, home and building depot. From lawn and garden, the TVs and stereos. All at TDC, home and building depot. Come on down, get what you're looking for. It's all at TDC, home and building depot.
Come, build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Whether it's a new home, a renovation, or a DIY project, we're here to make it happen. That's why we say, build with us. From foundation to finish, come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're not just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hosfords.
Campari. Red Passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari red passion, full action, this is red passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari red passion, make the nicest mix. Campari!
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Right to you, Mr. Agard.
Yeah, blessed greetings again. So yeah, again we have Ras Aya and Ras Sankofa in the house here, reasoning about African liberation. And Ras Aya was just giving us a rundown of the activities that they've been dealing with from the 24th, you said?
To the 30th.
To the 30th.
We have two more areas that we want to close off for the full of the activities.
Okay.
The Friday in our format, we have where we'll go and give the preschoolers now layout of African authentic coloring books and the black doll, and then there will be a cheat for the preschoolers in both in Nevis and in St. Kitts. So we're not differentiated, we're just using the level of utilizing our young ones to have that appreciate love to their heritage and their ancestral stories. Because these are some of the things that are being missing in the format of our youth when they're growing up too. And we're seeing these things, we must be able to apply them to help grow their mind in the incline of their knowledge to their understanding of who they are and where they're going forward. The Friday in itself is a double impaction on our ground because we still have a presentation for a primary school over there in Nevis on the Friday. Could not get it work out at the Thursday, so we have to move it in, making the adjustment to it for the Friday alongside with the preschoolers in the Nevis and in St. Kitts Shores. So that is where we got within our work for that activities, and the primary school of that Friday will be the St. Thomas Primary School, where the presentation will be highlighted of the charter that was signed in 1963 for African Liberation Day. And then we have the climax of the activities coming into the Independence Square on the 30th of May to mark our solidarity rally for African Liberation Day. And we'll have speeches making by the political parties, representation, and speeches by ones who are invited, like Cameron Gale, and we have others within, and we have poetry and singing and dancing will be a part of the indication towards the rally of African Liberation Day. So we are insisting on the starting time for the rally, 2 p.m. in the afternoon to 8 p.m. in the evening. That is what we climax for the liberation of African people, home and abroad. Give thanks.
Yeah, bless. I would like to just, I don't know if to say this is a warning or a suggestion that to be very cautious with the politicians and how they be involved in these things, because we have seen when politicians takes up anything that Rasta, beforehand were leading, the politicians them just take it up and just put Rasta on a seat to sit down while they themselves and put their own people, like the cannabis, for instance. I mean, it has been Rasta all along, getting knocked out and beat down, and even what from the same politicians. And then, when you get free up to that level, the politicians then form their own committee and just put Rastas to sit down on the seat, put on committees, not put Rastas to lead it, because they have been the one leading it all along. So I'm just sending this little warning that don't let the politicians them come now and take over this African liberation movement and this celebration, and then next thing you know, they just form a committee and put you on a board to sit down.
Well, I would like to state there, this is generally farm, that I'm calling for a national fund for the unification of African liberation.
Yes,
and it needs a very impaction, not just for Sinkits, but for Nevis.
For the Federation.
So it can work hand in hand whenever the time comes of the May, that we see that work in essence go between the two islands as a state of celebrating African Liberation Day.
Yeah.
But let me interject here, because I'm going to try to follow on from the statement you made, Egad, about Rasta being just given a token representation. How about Rastas not cementing themselves with any particular party? And I use the word cementing themselves.
You see, sometimes it's difficult when you look across the table and you look at another black man like yourself, who may have been distracted by whatever means, whether it's politics, religion, however the case may be. And sometimes you may want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But this is why I'm saying to Rasaya to be careful with how he would allow politicians to even get in on some of this, because it's not even just the cannabis. I mean, when you look at the reparations committee and all of these different things, you know, Rasta's supposed to be leading these things, because all these things started with Rasta.
But that is why I say I use cement. Hold a second, brother. That is why I use the word cement, because I am not saying you can't be aligned with a party, but do not be so stuck with them.
Right.
That
But the point I was making is that sometimes you try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, you're still looking at another black man as your brethren, at least to some degree of that. So giving them the benefit of the doubt and walking along with them. Like, for instance, Ras Sankofa would have gone to Nigeria on a trip that was probably pushed by the same politicians.
Yeah.
Hoping that, you know, that you give them the benefit of the doubt that this was of a good nature, a good heart, a good idea.
Yeah, I could understand
You know?
that. Hello, caller. You have a call.
Yeah, we're still here.
Yes,
Thanks for taking the call. We could have the other line finish. We listen to our response to what the I said. West Agard. The appeal is for a national fund, FUND.
Front.
National Fund for African Liberation Day.
Okay. Yes, indeed. But I thought he said fund, F-U-N-D.
Well, that could work together.
Please, let me listen. Let me speak. Because if he said fund, the point that Egad is making, once we keep begging them or depending upon a budget from them.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we need to set a national fund, F-U-N-D, because we are African people and the event is about African struggle that is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Because we still having to depend on contribution from them. Might, I'm not saying it is, might prevent that independent transformation where that is concerned with politicians coming and taking over like they did the cannabis industry and other things. When these vibrations started by Rastafari.
Yes, I.
Rightly said, Rastafari. Blessed love.
Yeah, man, blessed, give thanks. We're gonna have a little reading from Sankofa, but before he even read that, just following up to what the elder just mentioned there, like if you go on Facebook, depending on who you have as contacts and how the algorithm feed in your feed, you'll see that there's a smear campaign going on even right now between the political parties.
Yeah.
And it's just because election is close by.
Yeah.
So when Johnny called in this morning, I understand exactly what he means.
Yes, yeah.
Because these guys are showing themselves as, should I use the word serpents, wolves? I don't even know what they are. Traitors.
Yeah.
You know, just cussing out each other as if none of them did well. So Labour gonna say PLP did nothing. PLP gonna say Labour did nothing. PAM gonna say the two of them did nothing. The two of them gonna say PAM did nothing. But yet we have all these things. So something seems to be wrong with these people. But
remember our history. Remember Marcus Garvey said, "Don't forget your history." Right?
But they want us to.
Remember our history says that we end up down here because of some of our own people, you know.
Of course.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sanko.
Sanko, forward with you.
Yeah. But I would still just want to make a quick point there still in respect to we uniting for the cause of Africa, because if we continue to be like this, where we have this aggression from one to another, then we're not fulfilling the words of His Majesty.
Right.
Because he says only way we can really do this, consider even reparations, is that you have to send the right one, and we have to make sure that we solve our problems here in the Western world where we're at, before we come over to Africa, same way still. So we do have that problem with us and the politician. But I'm saying that we ourselves, when we organize in African liberation, what I say is vital, because African liberation, even though it was the Bingi was always the one overseeing it, we always had the teachers them involved. We always had other members of the community involved, like Earl Clark, we had Juni Liable, and we had so many different, and we had a variety of performance. And what I realize is the community is not coming for it like they used to in the 90s, and maybe in the 70s and in the 80s, because it's been a while now they're doing this thing in the square. For a part I wasn't there. But it's important for us now to have that front that I am talking about, a united front. And I would say that His Majesty talked about that in respect. This part of his speech was in 1963 at the same conference that we're talking about, that brought together the Organization of African Unity. There was 32 nations of Africa. And from His Majesty Cabinet, there was basically only 2 or 3 free states in Africa at the time. Then in 1941, after he came back from England in the war, there was about, it's still about the same 2 or 3. It was in 1958 when Ghana became an independent nation, and His Majesty fought between them 5 years there of 1958 and 1963. By the time he reached, there was about 9 at the time when Ghana became independent, and then now you have like 32 nations coming to this event. So look at the great work that His Majesty did, even single-handedly, and even collectively with some of these other African leaders. It was a great work that the man accomplished in 1963, and I would ask anyone to read the whole speech if it's possible. It says, "We are meeting here today to lay the basis for African unity. Let us here now agree upon the basic instrument which will constitute the foundation for the future growth in peace and harmony and oneness of this continent. Let our meetings henceforth proceed from solid accomplishments, and let us not put off to later consideration and study the single act the one decisions which must emerge from this gathering, if it is to have real meaning. And this conference cannot close without adopting a single African charter. And we cannot leave here without having created a single African organization possessed of the attributes we have described. If we fail in this, we will have shirked our responsibility to Africa and to the peoples we lead. If we succeed, then and only then will we have justified our presence here. Eli, Rastafari. So I say His Majesty set the foundation for unity within Nkrumah Kwame Secretary, all the members, Jomo Kenyatta, all the leaders that was present at this gathering. And if we just follow the things that His Majesty put forth, it'll be easier for us to get accomplished all the things that we want to get accomplished. Because some of us as Rastafari, our charter for our constitution, our governance, come from the OAU charter, come from the constitution, as parts of it from the constitution of Ethiopia. So we recognize that we have to do our part. But I think sometimes we blame the politician them too much because we can work and accomplish so much things even without them. Because it takes togetherness and unity to accomplish a lot of these goals. Like for example, all of us went to Africa, but how much of us consider like even trading with Africa? Because the conference was a summit for trade and for interconnectivity. But only ones and ones come and bring money to actually establish trading and what's not, even if it's on a small scale. But we have to start somewhere. And we have to remember there's a lot of shark in the waters right now too. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very hard for us to accomplish some of the goals that we're setting because persons are fighting against the will, our will. But it's the will of the Father that must maintain and must conquer the wicked still. But we ourselves have to play our role because it's the Rastas. It was disappointing for me to be only maybe like 2 or 3 Rastas went on the trip because I thought this would have been the opportunity, knowing that we're the one who struggle, who speak of Africa so often, you know, and it should have been more of us going on a trip like that so that we can help the government and all set standards and principles and how we was going to do this thing because it's about trade. But look, now a plane come with Nigerians and they still had to be turned back because the Ebola, they're afraid because we're not set in a way that we can do the testing in such a fast way and let's deal with any case. So it's like if there's going to be hiccups and there's going to be a lot of other things that we have to reason about before we actually manifest the trade relations. And when I'm talking about trade, I'm not just talking commodities. You see it? You see it?
But Sankofa, you made the point about the village, and I want to kind of jump on that because you say we blame the politician too much, perhaps to some extent, but it is the politicians who, if you look back to Haynes Smith and the one in the Low Valley and all those are Sandy Point all over, those were villages, you know. Those were villages that came together and did certain things. But look what the politician did. This is why I use the word cementing. People became so cemented in one party or the other that when the politicians come in, it's like you can't say, like Aga was saying, that this one did any good and that. And you had to jump on this side and say staunchly, well, it's just this or it's just that. And you see what they have done to the village, the village things?
So the village concept basically
lost. Yeah, and the village concept was following the roots of Africa, where the village had councils, in a sense, that came together and did certain things.
So who's stopping us from having a foundation or even establishing these things in our communities without the government?
What is stopping us?
Independently, because it's like we still have to work with one another, and we still have to be the one to be our brother's keeper.
And that is what I'm saying, Sankofa. I'm saying, look at in the past, people were in those things and they were aligned with different parties, but now they're so cemented.
Yeah, I agree with that. The divide is very high.
That's it, yeah.
And it's creating a dissension.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's getting worse,
yeah,
because we got to look at that, because
Yeah.
if it came from that point where it was more Afrocentric, as you would have said, and over time it started to change, and then now today, 2026, we are here, and we reach to that kind of, like I explained earlier, what you seen
Yeah,
on Facebook.
yeah.
So it gets so bad, so which means Sankofa would have asked, what is stopping us?
And Sankofa is right, you know. Sankofa
Yeah.
is 100% right. What is stopping us as
Ego.
individuals from saying, put aside this, yeah, I support PAM, but for this endeavor, ain't no PAM thing. It's about a community, it's about a village, it's about St. Kitts Nevis. What is stopping us from doing that? So I hear you, Sankofa.
And how come the people not coming out? Because when we're there and we're ready to give education and have discussions, a lot of the time the people them is not coming out, and sometimes they feel like it's just a Rasta thing because we've been pushing it all the time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we don't want it to be like that.
Yeah.
You see it?
So maybe you see, and that's why, going back to what Johnny was saying, I could even understand that even clearer now, because it's easier to see that if Rasta gonna do this, then Rasta probably have to step up on certain levels, because while trying to play around with the current politician, whoever they are, whoever they're gonna be, it's like that thrust, that movement to go forward is always stalled.
Yes.
So while nobody's stopping us, is more like a system of governing. A system of governing is hindering us.
Yeah.
Because when the politicians start to monetize and politicize everything,
Yeah.
then we now don't really have much of that to compete with. So we may have a good talk.
And I'm glad you said that when they begin to monetize and whatnot, because this is what the politicians have done. They have done it this way, that if it is my regime, you will not be financed, you will not be assisted.
Exactly.
And so
it's a kind of weird planter class systematic conception colonial mind that drive a lot of these politicians. So even when we were speaking earlier, we could see straight up that the nowadays politician is pretty much a reflection of the colonial master based on that same Westminster system that we are governing ourselves with. And we play along in the sense that...
But I'm going to go back to Sankofa, because Sankofa is right. What is stopping us as individuals from saying, we can do this if we know the agenda is about the betterment of the society and the people?
Sometimes it's the economics. For example, can we organize amongst ourselves a straight flight from St. Kitts to Africa without the government being involved?
Well,
no.
I wasn't speaking Africa, because you said it. You said we have to start here before we go back here. So let's start here, right? So what is stopping us from uniting here? Because we're not united here.
I think that the common people, the people of consciousness that is in the federation, they need to meet with Rasta. That is not happening. When Rasta have their gathering, a lot of the time, those common people are the people them who I would say, I wouldn't even call them common, but the people them who are there, who are not politicians.
Yes.
They are invited to the same meeting, they can come to the meetings them, and we sit down and we set a foundation for African unity. And we don't even really have to set the foundation, because the foundation just set already from what His Majesty just uttered. We have to just follow in the wake of his teachings.
But it is because they have been stigmatized.
We don't come together, and we don't sit down and plan, as you say, at the councils them is not there anymore.
It is because they have been stigmatized against Rasta. So how do we get that stigma?
But I go back to the same question.
That's a misconception, Ella. Just for 5 seconds there. That's a misconception, because when you go to Africa now, this flag here,
But I'm speaking about in home. I ain't talking about. I'm speaking about
So
here,
much respect.
for whatever reason. Our people, mind you, be under the scene, under the current, they respect Rasta, you know. But for whatever reason, they feel afraid to come out and say it in public, and that is, I don't understand why not. Because if you speak to majority of the people, even a lot of the younger, you know, women and men, they would say Rasta, you know, but Rasta so. And Rasta set a standard, and you don't hear Rasta thief in it, you don't hear Rasta rape in it. You understand? But why are they not listening and coming out in numbers to Rasta?
Psychological damage, we find a lot of really based on that pattern.
That could be part of it.
And it's really hitting a lot of it. We talk about the community orientation that need to be impacted in our community as a drive to reassure our people of how we go forward as a people. And if we don't utilize these avenues, me don't vote, you know, but me respect our politicians, whoever they within the political party.
Yeah.
Me don't vote. And no one could tell Rasta to come and be a part of the political spectrum within what they're dealing with. I respect your level, what you're dealing, but not what you're doing for the people. Yeah. Because you're going to a new world order system. Yeah. And we're not coming for that. We come to tear down that old racist and insane mad system that is applying danger to the younger ones. Them.
Yeah.
And we need to have that change right now effectively. Because right now what we're seeing, for the generation that we are raising up now, they're more rapidly violent than what we used to see in generation before.
Yeah.
And if this is what we want to create in our essence of saying, oh, let the children them alone, no, guide them, don't beat them.
Well, brethren,
it's ways on me that we could fight this year.
We have used up the time.
Yes, I.
So if you have a
I would just like to close and say thank you for the time for having I here to outline for the celebration to Impact for African Liberation Day and to pay homage to all the pioneers, not just in St. Kitts and Nevis, all over the faces of the island, of the planet who are being impacted to sensitize and bring relief of the level of African liberation and the awareness for the unity to span as one Africa.
Sankova.
And we give thanks for the Prime Minister, I think he was of Grenada at the time still, too, for defending Africa on such a high level. And also Walter Rodney, and even all the African leaders who did their best, you know, to try to unify the continent and actually bring us forward so that we could continue to have this discussion. But I think it's too much discussion now. It's time for implementation.
I agree.
And I think that's what Rasta trying to do. Yeah. But financially, we're not in a good position. That's just the reality. So I hope that we can actually come together and solve some of these problems, but not leaving out the general population. Because it's important to have their input in anything we do for Africa. Because Africa is not just Rasta alone. You see it, even though we defend a lot of things for Africa. Africa is not just for Rastafari people. There's different tribes, different beliefs, religion, and what's not. So I give thanks for the opportunity to come here and reason. Give thanks Elder Agan. Yes. Give thanks to the Almighty Father, His Son Yahshua, and Emperor Selassie the First every time.
Well, brethren, once again we give thanks. Quint, it was always a good.
And I invite everybody down in the square.
Come forward.
All right? Because we got to just big up the square again, because I remember back in the days, the square used to be rampack. Yeah. So we ask the people them to come out in numbers and celebrate African history with us. Great speakers going to be there, great musicians going to be out there, artists.
And while we are performances. We're having a feature speaker at the rally too, so come out and listen.
Yes,
okay. All right, give thanks again.
Bless
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Now loans, cash at the speed of life, so fast.